Tes tes halo halo. Good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farhan Fajrian, and I want to tell you about English correspondence and my internship program. There is 5 simple tips to be professional business correspondent. Number 1, think about the type of correspondence you should be writing. Analyze the situation and see if you need to write a note, an email, a memo, or a letter. Note: you can choose to write a note if you are in a hurry, but the other person needs to have the information written down as soon as possible. A phone call may not be suitable if you need to transmit very detailed information, like an address. In notes, you may use abbreviations, informal punctuations, as notes are written in an informal style. People usually write notes to colleagues they know well, so notes can be quite friendly and informal. And then email. People write a lot of emails nowadays. They are a convenient way to communicate because they are fast, they can be sent or forwarded to more than one person at a time, and the tone can be adapted to the situation. Emails are a better choice than notes when you know the reader will see them in time. They also work better than phone calls when you need to send detailed information, which the other person may not remember after a phone conversation. And last is letter. Letters. Business letters are usually written from one business organization to another, or a correspondence between people representing organizations. They tend to be more formal than other forms of communication because they are a permanent written record. Letters can be written to complain, to apologize, to invite, or for any reasons related to business. E- Emails can also be written in a very formal style, but letters are still used because they may be taken more seriously by the reader than any other form of communication. And second tip is be polite. Being polite means choosing the right tone or register. You don't need to excessively too formal to be polite. Always have the reader in mind when you write. The relationships you have with the receiver will generally set the tone you use right to them. If you are not sure, it's best to use a neutral tone. It's generally better to be more formal than informal if you cannot decide what tone you use. Here are some examples of an informal, neutral, and formal tone. Informal: I'm sorry, I can't help you. Neutral: I'm afraid I can't help you. Formal: I very much regret I cannot help you. So that's the example. Mm, and third tips is make a good plan and stick to it. When you write, you have time to think. You don't have this luxury when you speak. Make sure you use your time wisely. Think about the ideas you need to include and decide how to group them. This will use clearly separated paragraphs for each main idea. After you have decided on the main ideas, make sure you use clear sentences. It's better to have shorter and clearer sentences then really long ones that address may not understand. If you're not sure about the language, you should just try to imagine the reader is there in front of you, especially if you are responding to an email or a letter. Make sure you include all the information you were asked to. When moving from one idea to another, use some connecting expressions to help the reader follow the logic of your argument. Here are some examples of such expressions. To list ideas. Firstly, secondly, last but not least. To contract ideas. However, on the other hand, nevertheless. To express cause and effect. Consequently, therefore, as a result. And tip number 4 is end on a positive note. Even when complaining, think strategically and always recall it. If the reader is offended, you probably will not obtain the result you want. You should end the email, memo, or letter depending on how you start it. If you begin with an informal, like Dear John, you can end with best or best wishes, followed by your name. If you keep your tone neutral, you should end in a neutral way, like kind regards, best regards, followed by your name and position. If your tone was quite formal, the ending should also be formal. If you start with Dear Sir, Dear Madam, it's best to end with yours faithfully, followed by your name and position. If you started with Dear Mr. Smith, you can use your singularly, followed by your name and position. And the last tip is check for mistakes and then check some more. When you finish writing, proofread your work several times. It's difficult to pay attention to spelling, vocabulary, grammar, and punctuation mistakes all at the same time. Spelling mistakes can create a bad impression to try using a spell check tool like this one to help you edit your writing. Grammar mistakes can also give the reader a bad impression. Here are some common grammar mistakes you should watch out for. You're confused with you are. Your, like your customer is waiting. Or you are a valued customer. They are confused with their and their. Their possessively determiner used to describe something that belongs to the people whom you are corresponding. Their manager is in a meeting. There, not there. There, as verb, used to refer to that location. There is a laptop you can use. They are, contracting of they are. They're in charge of marketing. Writing in a foreign language is not an easy job, especially when your business may be depending on it. But the better you write, the better your reader will feel about you and your ideas. So use these 5 tips on your next flash. Thank you. I'm sorry for the mistake. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.